Tonight on Hitasa, we look into the prolific works of one of Kenya's renowned actor and visual artist, as well as the story of compassion from a noble initiative in the slums of Kibera. Essentially, art can be made of anything or any combination of things. The use of mixed media began around 1912 with the Cubist collages and constructions of Pablo Picasso and Georges Braque, and has become widespread as artists developed increasingly open attitudes to the media of art. We link up with renowned actor and visual artist Allan Sibuor Oyugi at the current village, a man whose work depicts mixed media art in its diversity.
Sibour is just my nickname. It's a name that people have actually used for a while. I consider myself an artist, and I use that word in the broadest sense possible because I have dabbled in different artistic disciplines. I am a painter. I studied graphic design in college. I have been into sculpting. Then beyond that, I've also done other things like film, a little bit of music when we were younger, and so on. So I'm an all-round artist as best as I can.
His early days as an artist were complemented by the fact that art was in the family, making it easier a path to follow through.
Well, I'm very, very, very privileged because I come from a family of artists. My parents, right from the get-go, understood the value of art and encouraged my siblings, who have, I've 4 siblings. 3 of them are all artists in their own right, except one who is a medic, and we appreciate him for that. But the rest of us are artists, all of us. Therefore, it was not difficult for me, even from a very early stage, to pursue artwork. Then the only unfortunate thing is that back in the day, and I think it still exists, that art has not been something that's been pushed through our education system. At some point even it was completely eliminated from the system, very unfortunately. But for me, this has been something that has been part of me all my life.
Growing into his style took a lot of mentorship, experimenting, and eventually finding a niche.
The journey has been long. At some point, I got some, well, sort of, I'll call it tutoring or mentoring by one of my siblings. He's more established. He's been doing art for a much longer time. And I learned a lot working with him. And I appreciated the way he was able to grow his artistic skill. So from there I began to learn a lot. I started off with painting right from high school. The guys who did the old A-level system. So when I went into A-levels, I took art very seriously. But now with time, I thought it would be nice to do something different. And as I mentioned earlier, working with my brother, and he was somebody who dabbled with things like wood and metal and glass and so on and so forth. So I stuck with metal because I find it very interesting. Not many people have been able to coax and tease the metal into artistic pieces like I've been able to do.
Passionate about matters environment and Pan-Africanism, Allan uses metal as a medium with a combination of other materials to finish his pieces.
With metal, the options are limitless. I keep on discovering new things. I keep on discovering new ways and as I said, especially when you use scrap, I try to balance. I do like a 60-40 balance between scrap metal and metal that you just buy in the shops. I believe in Afrocentricity. I'm Afrocentric to the core. I want to tell African stories through my artwork. I want to create pieces that wherever they are, it leaves no doubt that this thing has come from the continent of Africa. They may not know where in particular, but it is distinct that this is something from Africa. So I try to use some of the symbols and emblems from the past, but with a more modern and contemporary feel.
We now get into Allan's creative space as he lets us in on what it takes to come up with a piece.
So basically, before I make any piece, the creative process starts on paper. And I will just, many times just start by doodling. I just, nothing very too serious. I just have to do some pencil sketches. And out of this pencil sketch, something will pop out, something will inspire me. And I start pursuing that particular piece and try and perfect it. And figure out what materials I want to use on the particular piece and what message I want to put across in the particular piece. Some of them talk about, a lot of the pieces that I've done before are based on centrality. So they have a central focus point and then they spread. But then I've been also trying to move away from that a little bit and create some balance, just create balancing pieces, some symmetry. And see how I go with that. I don't use references. I, just things out of my head. Just what I was feeling at a particular moment, and I would just start creating. But sometimes everybody sees something different in whatever I create. Yeah. I might start creating something and I see a bird or I see a lion or I see a horse or something in it. But when you ask another person, they see something so totally different. And I enjoy that. I enjoy seeing that. Once I'm satisfied with what I have designed on paper, I blow it up. We have it blown up to the size that I want. And then I have a young apprentice with me here who will help me put it together. So maybe
A rather complex process that will be seen through by Allan and his young apprentice. We now get into the finer details for one of the pieces.
This is just how it is, rough, unfinished. We use some special lacquers to create some sheen, some nice finish on it. Some of the materials we use are a bit pricey because they're not available locally. Some of the paints that I use are not available locally. So it's a challenge. I have to find somebody to get them from abroad. I like using shells.
As the art piece comes to life, we get perspective from Allan on the art industry and his experience exhibiting his work.
I can tell you for a fact that there are many artists that I know who are living pretty decent lives from the pursuit of art. I know it is a challenge for us in Africa and in Kenya especially, because the awareness of art is now beginning to grow slowly. And the evidence of that is that I get parents coming to me and saying, no, my son, my daughter, can you teach them this and that, which didn't happen much in the past. But now people are beginning to appreciate because they can see that there are artists out there who are making a very decent living out of the pursuit of art. In as far as exhibiting is concerned, I am currently in the process of putting together some pieces for an exhibition that should happen later this year, which will be the first in this season. I have been able to display my work in certain places around town, although I'm not doing that right now. I've mainly used social media as a platform to showcase my work, but there are markets and places that I've taken my work, and the response has always been very good.
The pandemic disrupted economies across the globe and the art industry not left out, although for Allan it might have come as a blessing.
The pandemic for me is bittersweet because, as for everyone else, this thing came and caught us by surprise. And at that point I was mainly concerned with film, doing a lot of film. And many people would understand that in a film set, you're many people, it's crowded. So we had to stop filming for most of us. And it is during that period that staying at home, when we were all under semi-lockdown, I thought to myself, look, I can't just be sitting in my house. What will I do with my time? And I thought to myself, come on, I could go back and do some artwork. And one of the advantages has been being able to come into this little space. This is a tiny space, but it's a wonderful space to work and create. As you can see, there's a lot of art that within a year we'll be able to churn a lot of art out of this space.
His journey, of course, not without challenges, especially one that could be familiar to most of us.
There's a period I did not have electricity for no fault of my own. There was a serious power problem and it set us back. And then you begin to, the clients are calling you, where's my job? I've given you a deposit. You start looking like a typical Kenyan. You've run away with somebody's money. You have to go and apologize and say, I'm so sorry, your work will be there. And it can strain some of the relationships you have with your clients, not by choice, because these are things that I do. It's something that I have to sit down. If I have got 10 pieces and I have to produce them in a week, I have to do it. When I don't have electricity or I don't have material, like right now, one of the biggest challenges that we are facing is the ban on scrap metal, which has caused a rise in the cost of metal. I'm one of those guys who always rates the scrap yards, around here, and they pick all sorts of pieces of metal and they use to make, some of the stuff that you see. That has been a challenge, but we understand. I do truly understand why it had to happen, and we hope the government will be able to realign that sector so that we can continue doing it in a legal and orderly fashion.
The path of becoming a prolific artist sees many choose to learn by themselves, be mentored, or pursue an education in the fine arts.
It's a 50-50 kind of situation, because I believe in education. I believe people should go to school and learn, because the school experience is fantastic. I mean, you get to learn new techniques and so on. But at the same time, one of the biggest things that I know about art is just being in a space where there are artists already is the biggest school that you could ever attend. I say this with a lot of confidence because when I was in high school, my teachers were not so, unfortunately, they were not so involved with us as we would have liked. Or maybe not, I would say maybe our relationship wasn't as good with my art teachers back in the day. And I truly respect them, wherever they are. But the interaction that happened between me and my colleagues in class, the competition that happened among us, produced some of the finest artists in this town. And there are people who are well known. We've got people like there's a gentleman by the name of Ted Josiah who is known for his leather work. He was in my class. There's another guy called Alex Ashtiba, who is a teacher in one of the big schools here, who has really been instrumental in growing art in that particular institution. There's another friend of mine called Pastor Edo Dondachi, who's a pastor, but at the same time he's an artist. And we've up to this day, we still interact and still discuss the growth of our art.
For many an uprising artist today, Allan shares these words of advice.
Never give up. It's not easy. And artists tend to be driven a lot sometimes by emotion. Don't let that get in your way. Yeah. Keep working. Always work. Always work. Never stop working. Never ever stop. Because the reason I say this is because the artist keeps on unlocking new things from their mind every day. And therefore, when you stop, you stagnate. And you don't allow that to happen to you. Never stagnate.
Here's a look at what's to come after the break.
We don't usually discriminate students based on the marks they got in primary. And to be honest, we have seen most of our students wanapata good results, KCSE.
This week on Crosstalk.
12 individuals after Christ influenced the entire world.
Do we deposit in our Christians the compelling gospel that makes them salt to preserve their world with Christian values and light to cast darkness out?
When you celebrate the wrong things, we begin measuring the wrong things, we begin investing in the wrong things. We should be asking ourselves, what models are there in Scripture that were accurate?
That's this Sunday at 8 p.m.
Kibera slums, the poorest and largest slum in Africa. Life here can be quite challenging due to extreme poverty, high crime rates, and lack of access to basic commodities, to note a few. With unemployment rates being high and many living below the poverty line, education for many holds the only promise of life beyond the slum. Dreams are shattered and all hope is lost when many aspiring individuals don't get a chance to pursue an education. Daniel Oduor sought to solve this problem through reaching out with Compassion Kibera, an organization known to many who have benefited from the program as ROC.
So for me, ilikuwa more of trying to reach out to my friends when tulikuwa tunagrow now, because at that time kulikuwa na a lot of issue. Crime, of course, isha, but in a reduce. And then there were no scholarship. I can only remember only one. In fact, even the Wings of Lies ilikuja after. So where ulikuwa on your own, whereby yes, your parents want you to go to school, but kuna the other challenge whereby now, is it school fees or food or something? You know, those things, medical iko hapo. So kulikuwa na issue ya in, out. So for me, I thought that, like, look, instead of just waiting, you know, our country have this culture whereby everything we blame the government, or we blame the people when you are in this office. Why is it that they are not doing this? Yeah. So yeah, for me, the whole inspiration ilikuja, like, look, instead of complaining, you can start where you are.
As he met with his friends, ideas were shared, and to grow even further, Daniel decided to empower himself first.
I used to host this program in my house. So every weekend, ninge host watu kwangu, we have meetings, we chat out, like, now what is the solution for us guys to, what can we do to make sure you have a business, you are going to school, you're helping back your parents, something like that. Personally, sikuwa nimego outside Kibera in terms of going in a different place. So for camps, my thinking ilikuwa the only people who go to camps ni scouts when we were in Primo, you know. Kumbe kulikuwa na other camps whereby you can just go as young people and get trained. Yeah, so nikapata invitation ya camp, like, look, you can come to camp with few guys. So yeah, those your time camps zilikuwa 500 shillings. So we went all the way to the other side. I think those people know it's called the Guna camp. So we went there, and now the idea again ikaanza kukuja, watu wakaanza kuwa na exposure. You know, sometimes we suffer because you don't have that exposure because wewe uko katikati ya reli and you are home. You know?
After a couple of years, Daniel linked up with a group of individuals who have since become partners aiding this noble cause.
The first question I remember being asked ilikuwa ni, what is your plan now? You have done this for long. What is your plan with all these young people here? I remember answering, simple. Me, I want these guys, but if there's an opportunity for them to go to school, itakuwa best. And from there now, nikapata opportunity ya at least the prayer yenye nilikuwa nauliza for some years back. So now we started with few students, nikaanza kuwapeleka mashule, looking for schools around, partner with other schools. Yeah, and that's how now the scholarship really, now the year 2010.
As a slum with so many individuals seeking help, the decision of who to support or not has been overbearing on Daniel.
We'll focus a lot, first, the orphan. For example, someone can be orphan, but now an able auntie, able uncle, or someone who is taking care of him or her. So that's our main focus. So kama yuko totally orphan and the situation is really tough, our priority atakuwa number one. One of the unique part of us is that we don't usually discriminate students based on the marks they got in primary. But we try our best to make sure, like, look, give this student opportunity. Mcancel vizuri, mentor this student. And to be honest, we have seen most of our students wanapata good results, KCSE.
Elvis is one of the beneficiaries of the organization who now lets us in on his early days before the support.
I was born in Migori County, and that is where I grew up to class 8 when I came to Nairobi to join Form 1. So when I came to Nairobi to join Form 1, I was brought in by my brother, and immediately I came to Nairobi, he lost his job. So meaning I joined Form 1, first term, second term, I didn't pay any school fee. Yes, we just talked to the school principal. So I came to learn about rock through my friend called Levis. Levis is also in campus. So Levis, whenever we were going home, in Form 1, we used to work as a group. So it was not with us each and every evening. So I wanted to know why. So when I asked Levis, he told me that he has been coming to Rock to do some extra studies. So that is where I gained interest and wanted to know what is Rock, what is it doing. Yes, so when I came, I tried to talk to the director, Daniel Odor, but it was not successful at the first time.
After being persistent and consistently knocking on Daniel's door, Elvis was finally accepted.
Him agreeing to pay my school fee meant a lot because I had goals to achieve in life, and these goals were only possible through education. So when he agreed to pay my school fee, then it seemed possible to achieve this. Right now, I'm studying at the University of Nairobi, pursuing a course in Bachelor of Education ICT with Maths minor. Yes, and hoping that I'll complete my education and maybe empower others like I was empowered, and even, yes, make a good life out of it. I would just like to maybe thank Rock, yes, because of the work they are doing. Without Rock, I don't think, me personally, I would have been right here, right now.
Daniel aims to continue as he is passionate about transforming lives, as is testament of the impact the organization has had thus far.
Tumekuwa na watu wenye wame manage through schools. Kuna wale like because by the time I was starting, kulikuwa na group yenye for them walikuwa dropouts, but wamekuwa mentored, now they are doing their own things, yeah? And then now we have another step whereby now these people have gone through school. So up to now, we have almost over 70 students when you are in universities, different uni. Actually, we have even a group right now when you just cleared Form 4 the other day. And so in the next 3 months, they'll be joining university. We have high schoolers, so this is what we do every year. We'll take between 20 to 30 new Form 1 students. Like even right now, that's what is going, because they're supposed to be joining high school in the next, probably I think 20 days. Yes. So our main focus usually, it's high school and university, and then now mentoring them from primary to high school.
Life in these slums can be quite discouraging for many here, and as Daniel shares, there is a huge need to expose the young people to a different perspective of life to give them hope for a positive outlook.
If I don't take this student, maybe nimueducate or give him or her opportunity, every day nitakuwa na fear ya insecurity, because this person thinks that mtu alizaliwa kwa pesa, but hajui the history that also mimi nilipata chance mtu alinipea opportunity of doing something. So the impact part of it is that we have educated students here wenye even kwa society watu walikuwa wanaona they have nothing to offer. Hawa ni watu watafika tu mahali wafanye nini you know. So I'll say that kuna hiyo part ya like even you where you are seated, you feel like this person is achieving something. Mtu kama singempea hii chance, probably angekuwa amepotea kwa crime. Kama ni young girls, for a good example here, kama ni young girls slums, I think anyone when you interact deep sana na slums is that you don't give these young girls opportunity at 14, 16 years, ni parent. So meaning poverty inaendelea ikifanya nini? Ikigrow. So how about you give an opportunity? Then kesho unasikia this person is engineer somewhere, doctor, you understand? So for me, I'll say that at least we have not reached everyone. But the good part is that we have at least rescued few.
If you'd like to be a part of reaching out with Compassion Kibera and maybe help see a child through school, here is how.
We have a website, reaching out, actually ukiandika reaching out with Compassion Kibera, it appear. And then from there you'll see all our programs. If you want to support a child, you can reach us through the website. Especially now that tuko na actually intake Form 1s. And then from there, niko sure you'll be happy to make it, that you're doing something. One of the things that we do here a lot, we don't just pay school fees for these students, come big check and go. Actually, our offices mostly zinatumika na students, whereby we try our best to make sure they get the knowledge that wanataka from here, because here we have library, we have computer lab, we have other activities that they're doing on every day actually. Even right now, schools zimefunga for 2 months. They have been here on a daily basis.
That's it for tonight's show. Remember, you can share your thoughts, questions, and comments to the SMS line 20316 or WhatsApp on 0786 316 316. Next time on Hitasa.
Slums are stereotyped. As an artist who grew up in Mukuru slum, I tried to show the positivity of the slum levity.
We advocate for adoption of renewable energy. We advocate for proper waste management.